course, looking forward now into the preview for this Saturday's return in the EFL Championship away to Swansea City. And hopefully, Joe, like you say, with the way that Chris Davis is approaching away games now and having a bit of positive momentum coming off the back of the Cambridge United FA Cup win, do we dare to dream?
I think it's a game we can go there and get something. Obviously, we've won 2 in a row now. It's definitely in recent times, the recent form. They are, I think, the second best home team, just behind Ipswich, isn't it? So
on current form, yeah.
So it's going to be tough either way, and the stats would line up, and you'd look at it and say we're not going to get anything. We're hoping to turn the page with an away game in the league and hopefully get a point or 3 at the best. Swans are a funny one because obviously when we played them at home, it was a pretty close game.
It was.
Lyndon Dykes getting the winner.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic day there earlier on in the season. But different story this time away. Obviously we know they've got threats and they like to play quite similar to us actually when we play.
They
at
do
home.
actually, when you look at it.
They like to use the wide areas, plenty of assists from their 2 wide men. With Potnick obviously with 10 goals this season. So he's probably their main danger man. Technically did score at home against us. It was disallowed, but I think it was fairly controversial because I'm pretty sure he was onside. And like you say down there, hopefully Chris Davis has learned his lessons as far as particularly playing away. We can set up a little bit more behind the ball, let them have it because they like to have it. Let them hit them on the counter attack, break up play. That's how we should approach the game. I'd like to see us do it. Please do not play possession-based football because we don't need to do it, in my opinion.
No, I mean, they are a very possession-based team. It's something they've maintained throughout the season. That was obvious when we played them at home. It was a very technical game, actually, funnily enough.
It was actually, from what I remember, it was.
Yeah, there was decent level of football. It's one of the better footballing games I've seen at times, and it's quite ironic that it was a rather kind of, not route one, but a little bit of a direct route to our winner, which Lyndon scored, in injury time. It's an important win for us as well, really, because that's the reason that we're ahead of them effectively at the moment. They're only 2 points behind us. Yeah. They're in a bit of a weird position to me. They're like, I don't think they're doing as well as maybe they thought, and certainly not as well as I thought they might do. When you look at their squad, with the wingers that they've got, with Anusa and Ronald playing there, they've got a lot of assists and goals between them. There's 8 goal involvements between the 2 of them this season.
Yeah.
You've got Josh Tyman there, Ethan Galbraith is there. It looks to me on paper as though they're a talented squad. Yeah. Potnick's output this season has been beyond probably what they expected, but he's one of the leading scorers in the division. And yet they're in 17th place. It doesn't seem to reconcile, and you kind of feel as though they've missed a beat somewhere.
As it happens, though, it might not look like it in the table, but they're actually mid-table.
Yeah, it's true.
Because they're 8 from 6, and the top 6, and then 7 from the bottom. I think it might be the other way around. So they're basically mid-table. And I think, like you said, they've got quality there, and you'd expect them to be doing better. But dare I say that I think other clubs have probably looked at us this season. I've certainly looked at us and thought we should be doing better. But we obviously we know our own problems. We continue to play the same way. In terms of areas we can hurt them, though, like I've just touched on, I think sitting in and hitting them on the counter attack. I don't think they do very well with long balls, do they?
No.
So that's something I'd love for us to exploit, potentially with set pieces. Play like a typical away team. I think is probably the approach I would say.
Yeah. Sitting deep, work on the counter attack, and funny enough, the way that they play with the possession-based football, like you say, and they did that earlier in the season when they played us at home, it suits us.
Yeah.
So we need to play like an away team. Don't hold onto the ball for long periods of time. No side movements, looking for the gap. Sit in deep and work on the counter.
Yeah.
Play like we did in the Coventry game, in effect.
Yeah,
I think
essentially,
that's what you're looking at.
That's kind of the blueprint you want to work off, really.
It builds that frustration, doesn't it, for the home crowd, and they get more uncomfortable the longer it goes on.
Of course they do.
I mean, they've got kind of good players at the back as well. Burgess and Cabango are a kind of decent partnership out there. They've got a few goals between them. They're pretty strong and experienced. But there's no reason why our quicker, more mobile forwards can't do something against them. You know what I mean? You look for the right opportunities, the right through balls, particularly if Dutch is playing and we've got Kyogo playing as well, we'll be able to make those. Pat Roberts is an absolute expert at finding through balls like that.
He is.
He's so good at doing it. Remember, I think he did it in the playoff final for Sunderland. It got them kind of their first goal, the equaliser. And if you can expose them with those kind of approaches, we've got a chance. The other one is set pieces, you say. They're not good in the air. lumping it up in normal play, they're going to swallow it up. But at set pieces, if you've got the right people in the right places and we're aggressive with the likes of Robbo and Clara in there, we can hurt them. We're
very hit and miss, aren't we, with set pieces, defending and attacking.
Unfortunately.
Some games is like incredible, other games absolute dog shit. So there's no middle ground there. I just don't want us to adopt any more zonal stuff. I want us to actually man mark if we can do that. But yeah, nonetheless, battle mid-table team. They've had a similar season to us. By that point, I would hope that we're hopefully going to have a few players back. I was just thinking about lineups. I would hopefully Jay's going to be fit for that. In the post-match from the Coventry game, I think he was saying that he's not quite there yet. Obviously, wasn't in the squad for that one. Hopefully, he's going to return. Dimmy Gray's not going to be back till February, and then Laird is around the same time as well. We really missed him. Hopefully, by the away game against Swansea, we will have got one or hopefully two of the signings over the line that we've talked about in the last video. That will obviously help strengthen us.
How's it going, fellow Blues fans? Hope you're enjoying the channel so far and liking today's video. I wanted to take a minute of your time to talk about our sponsor, Bangla Lounge Indian Cuisine. For these three blue boys, Bangla Lounge has been the go-to choice to enjoy the very finest in Indian cuisine for over a decade now. Made with the freshest ingredients using authentic recipes, Bangla Lounge produces some of the best Indian cuisine that I've ever tasted. And if you enjoy takeaway at the end of the week, orders for collection and delivery with 15% discount, ordering direct through the website. If you enjoy a sit-down meal, you can enjoy this for a 2-for-1 offer, running up for Sunday to Thursday every week on main courses. Or if you're celebrating a special occasion, such as a birthday, Bangla Lounge offers a buffet restaurant every Sunday, running from 5:30pm to 10pm. So if you like a tasty curry or a sizzling tandoori, get yourself down to Bangla Lounge Hell's Owen. Links in the description below of our video. And if you would like to fine dine after a win in the B9. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
But in terms of lineups, or about injuries and signings, what do we think?
I think he'll start with Beadle. I think the back four will be Samsted. I think it'll be Clara, Robinson and Wagner. Okay. I think in the middle he'll go with Paik and Iwata. I think your wide men you're going to go with, obviously with Dimmy being out, but obviously on the one side you're going to have to go with Patrick Roberts, the other being Lewis Kumas. But as I said, he's turned out a good couple of performances recently against Coventry and Cambridge United, and they seem to be, like you say, utilising him different now, so that'll be exciting to see. I think in the middle then, in the 10, they're going to go with, I think it's going to be Dutch again, and I think they're going to start Stano up top. I can't see Kyogo working his way into the starting lineup this time round, but you never know. But I think in all likelihood, knowing how Chris Davies likes to set up and kind of his favourites in the team, as we've talked about in the past, I think that's probably going to be the most likely lineup.
Interesting that you put just a comment there on Iwata back into the middle, potentially to give us a little bit more fight, a little bit more strength, because he does well in there, particularly away. I think he's
this was my thinking behind it, or potentially even Davis is thinking behind it. Who knows?
I would hope so. He's not, reticent to doing that. I think he just likes Iwata to play either way. You know what I mean? I think he must get in Chris Davis's car and go back home with him. I think by the sounds of it,
it's him and Paik.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there is boys.
That's why Paik has bought that Hyundai Santa Fe, so we can get him, Davis, and his whole family and his kids in there as well, so they can all go everywhere together.
Everyone else gets on the bus. They travel down in the car.
Yeah,
they definitely do. And there, Willem Willemsen's hiding in the boot as his other child. Dad, line up.
Well, I'm going to throw a bit of a left field one here, and it's only because I've caught onto something that somebody said recently. In fact, I'd heard Chris Davis talk a little bit about this. I'm seeing quotes from him in the Evening Mail, I think. He started suddenly entertaining the idea of playing with wing-backs in away games. Now, at home, it doesn't work. I think it's too cautious, that is, for home games where we are better.
Yeah.
But in away games, I thought, OK, that's interesting. So he's talking about a back three. So three centre-halves, which we have got at the minute. Yeah. So in that setup, you'd see Norman on the right, Clara in the middle and Robinson on the left. And Robbo's obviously played left-back before and Norman's played right-back before. So it's not unusual for them to come out wide and cover players. Then I'd see perhaps a 6, which I think would be a Iwata. Then you could play Doyle and Paik as the 8s.
Yeah.
Then you've got Kai Wagner, is very clearly the kind of person who could play exactly that left wing-back role. And I think Iwata could play the right wing-back role. And that allows you to play 2 up front or a 1-1. Yeah, so you could play Dutch and Stano, or you could play Dutch and Kyogo. And that's a different dynamic. Now, to counter that, I would say that the danger from Swansea is their wingers, right? So we've got to have disciplined wing backs. They've got to be aware of that danger coming. But with 3 at the back, it also leaves people spare. they're not going to switch it from one side to the other automatically with accuracy. So, you've always got to have one area covered and not the other. Mm-hmm. So it can leave gaps. But if you've got the system working well and you compact the midfielders I've talked about, it stifles their passing and their possession in the middle.
Yeah.
But it also gives us the ability to break in wide areas and forward areas, and the 2-8s bombing on as well. Mm-hmm. So if he's going to do that, if he's going to go with that formation, it could be the game where he tries it.
Would you guess that it will be that, or do you think he'll go?
I think not, I have to say, because I think he's probably willing to stick to what he knows. But the fact that he's entertaining it is just... It was an interesting kind of thought for me afterwards, and I looked at it and thought, yeah, maybe he's going to spring a surprise and do it.
Yeah, I think I would like to see him do that. I would agree with you. Just a different approach away. I think he'll probably take a bit of confidence from the Cambridge one, albeit the fact, yes, it was against Cambridge, and we played the same way we normally have away. In terms of formation, I'd probably agree with Dan in terms, and I think it will be the typical formation that we do play with the 2 6s, 2 out wide players, a 10, and somebody in the 9. I think I'd probably go. I think personally he'll go with Iwata at right back, and I think the 2 be the same as you, Dan, with Clara, Jack Robinson, and Kyle Wagner on the left. The 2 in the 6, I think he'll go with Paik and Doyle. Wide right will be Roberts. I think he'll stay with Marvin Dutch in the 10, and I think I said this after the Cambridge game, but because Marvin Dutch just scored 3 in 10, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it? 3 in 2. He's not undroppable, but he needs to be playing, because if he gets an opportunity in front of goal, you'd bet that he's probably going to put it away. So I think it's important that he plays in the 10. Yeah. Even though if Stansfield fit, he could play there, but I would agree with you, Dan. I'd like to see Jay Stansfield on the left, and then I'll go with Kjörg up top, only because he's scored a goal. Do you know what I mean? You kind of want to follow that momentum and see if he can carry it. Jay could play there as well, but I think away, Jay on the left, because obviously Dimmy's still out. Obviously, if we get the signings, we get more options. But I think he'll go with that personally.
Yep, potentially so, but some good thoughts on the lineup there. So in terms of our score predictions, gentlemen, what we go to? Dad, I'll go over to you first.
I'm going to go with 1-1, I think, or 1 each, as my dad would have said. I just think if we keep it compact, and this is based on that, based on us keeping it in a compact shape, I think we'll defend okay. I'm not saying they won't score, because they're very strong at home, obviously. But yeah, I could see us pinching it if we play that way. If we play, backwards and sideways everywhere we go, we'll get beat.
Who scores for Blues? James Beadle? Mikhail Vassell, maybe?
Yeah, Mikhail Vassell, yeah. I'm going to go with Pat Roberts, actually.
Okay.
He wasn't in my lineup, but I think the lineup I think Davis will play, I think he'll score, yeah.
Dan?
I'm going to go 1-0 Blues.
Ooh,
I think us sitting deep and remaining tight will come to fruition. And I think Swansea will just run out of options as a heavily possession-based team, as we've talked about, and I think we'll nick it, and I think it'll be another one for the Duck.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with that safe bet. If anyone's going to score, it's probably going to be him. I'm going to go 10-1. No, I'm joking. I think I'm going to go with a 2-1 Blues.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit wishful thinking, but I do think that if we, those comments that you talked about there that Chris Davis has said, if we can go away and actually adapt our style, which I'm hoping we're going to do, and those comments allude to that, I think we can go there and hurt them. And goal scorers, just because we're on the subject, I'm going to go with Kyogo and Kyle Wagner, same as Cambridge for the 2.
Interesting.
Nice one.
Yep, so hopefully we can take the 3 points.
Hopefully. It'd be great if we could keep this momentum going, particularly away from home as well. Yeah. And of course, as Blues fans, in the comments section, let us know what you think the starting 11 will be going into our EFL return championship fixture away to Swansea City at the Liberty City Stadium this Saturday. Of course, it's a 5:30 kickoff. We'll be back with our post-match reaction following that game. Also, let us know what you think of the ins and outs coming out of Blues, potential rumours on transfers, and also what you think potentially might come out of that, who potentially might be leaving the club and who we might see as new additions. Gentlemen, it's been a long time coming since we last time were here, but it's good to be back, and thank you again for your contributions.
Yep. No worries,
pleasure,
good to be back.
Good to be back, yep.
Absolutely. And Blue Noses, thank you for joining us again. If, of course, you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, like if you've enjoyed today's video, and hit that bell notification button so you never miss a new upload. Please also follow us on our social media platforms, links to which are on the screen for you now and down in the description below. But until next time, fellow Blues fans, stay true to the Royal Blue and keep right on.
Keep right on.